5 years ago, my world unraveled. Losing both my parents to cancer was the beginning of a devastating chapter in my life. My mom and dad, my anchors, were gone within a short span of each other, leaving me alone to manage their estates, their memories, and everything they left behind. I had a sibling, but we were never close, and the strain between us only grew during this difficult period. Instead of offering support, my sibling complicated the process, making every decision, every step forward an uphill battle. The emotional toll was unbearable, and I quickly sank into a deep depression. My wife and I had been together for 10 years before we decided to get married. By the time this all happened, we had been married for 4 years. I had always believed that we had a strong bond, built over a decade of shared memories, trust, and love. But as my personal grief consumed me, something else started to unravel in the background, something I couldn't see coming. My wife began to talk incessantly about a new coworker. At first, I thought nothing of it. After all, she always had a wide circle of male friends, and it had never bothered me before. She had always been open with me about her friendships, often introducing me to them. One of her male co-workers even came over sometimes to hang out with both of us, and I had no problem with that. I trusted her. However, this new guy seemed different. He dominated every conversation. It got to the point where she couldn't stop talking about him after work, sharing his quirks, stories, and insights into their day. I joked once, "Do you have a crush on him or something?" The moment those words left my mouth, I regretted them. My wife was visibly offended. She snapped, "No, of course not." Her reaction caught me off guard, but I pushed it to the back of my mind, convinced that I was overthinking things. Then little oddities started to pile up. One evening, my wife mentioned she was heading out to the store to buy cigarettes. We lived in a suburban area with plenty of stores nearby, so it should have been a quick trip, 10, maybe 15 minutes tops. But she was gone for over an hour. I laughed it off when she came back, asking if she'd gone all the way to Timbuktu. She told me she got stuck behind a train at the railroad crossing. The explanation didn't sit well with me, but I didn't press the issue. The late-night errands became more frequent. Twice a week turned into 3 times a week, and sometimes she'd be gone for hours. And every single time, her excuse was the same. I got stuck behind a train. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her as I always had, but something inside me felt off. Maybe it was the state I was in, emotionally drained from dealing with my parents' loss, my siblings' hostility, and the overwhelming sadness that had taken root inside me. But that gut feeling wouldn't go away. I did something I'm not proud of. I started checking her phone. Initially, there was nothing. No messages, no calls, nothing suspicious. I began to think I really was being paranoid. But then one day, I found it. A single message between her and the coworker discussing when they would meet up the last time she disappeared. My heart sank. So this was where she had been going during those long absences. The next time she said she was going out, I decided I couldn't keep quiet anymore. When she came back, I asked her point blank if she had been meeting up with her coworker. She denied it, just as I expected. I asked her again, telling her I already knew she had been seeing him. She still lied. That's when I admitted I had seen the messages. What followed was one of the hardest conversations we've ever had. She confessed to meeting him, but insisted it was only to give him weed. She promised she'd delete his number and stop talking to him outside of work. But the damage was already done. Trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild. I wanted to believe her, but something inside me remained unsettled. A few weeks later, her co-worker quit. It should have been a relief, but the unease never went away. Every time I thought about it, I felt a gnawing sense of betrayal. Even if there wasn't a physical affair, the emotional connection she had with him felt like a wound that wouldn't heal. About a year later, she mentioned that her co-worker was back. Apparently, he had returned to the company, and she casually brought it up in conversation. She explained that part of the reason she had taken so long during those late-night trips was because he was flaky, often leaving her waiting with the weed for hours. I didn't know what to believe anymore. As the months passed, the distance between us grew. I noticed she had stopped wearing her wedding and engagement rings. When I asked her why, she told me they didn't fit anymore. I offered to get them resized, but she quickly shot that down. It didn't make sense to me. They still fit perfectly fine. But every time I tried to bring up the subject, the conversation would spiral back to her coworker, her late-night disappearances, and our relationship, or lack thereof. That's when she dropped another bombshell. She admitted that during those tough years when I was at my lowest, she had struggled to talk to me. She wasn't getting what she needed from me emotionally, so she turned to her co-worker to talk about her feelings about me, about everything that was weighing on her. She claimed that it wasn't romantic, just someone to confide in when she felt like she couldn't talk to me. In my mind, that felt like emotional infidelity. Hiding something like that from me, turning to someone else for comfort, someone she knew I was uncomfortable with. It hurt in ways I couldn't fully express. She had never hidden her friends from me before, and now she was hiding this one. Over the past 5 years, our relationship has felt more like cohabitation than a marriage. There's been no romance, no intimacy, no closeness. I couldn't help but remember what she had said about not getting what she needed from me. Every time I thought about it, I wondered if she was looking for romance elsewhere with someone else. I tried to bring it up gently, but every conversation ended in an argument. She would tell me, not everything is about sex. I understood that. I wasn't asking for sex. I was asking for connection, for some form of intimacy. I just wanted to curl up with her on the couch, watch a movie together, or even go to bed at the same time. But every time I brought it up, it was like walking into a minefield. She said she wanted to work on things, that she didn't want a divorce, and that she still loved me. But I couldn't feel that love anymore. It was like she was saying all the right things, but none of them felt genuine. She even told me once that if things ever got to the point of divorce, it would have to be my decision. So here I am, 5 years later, feeling trapped between my own lingering sadness and a relationship that no longer feels like one. I'm not sure how to bring it up again without it exploding into another argument. What hurts the most is that every time we talk, I seem to uncover another piece of the truth that I hadn't known before. What else is there that I don't know? I'm at a loss. What can I do now? Reaching this point in my life, I've come to realize that something has to change. The situation with my wife isn't improving, and my emotional well-being is suffering as a result. But making the decision to move forward, whether that's through reconciliation or separation, feels almost impossible. What can one do when the lines between love, grief, and betrayal are so blurred? Maybe the truth is that some relationships don't survive everything. Maybe, despite our best efforts, people grow apart in ways that can't be mended. Or maybe, just maybe, there's still something worth fighting for. I don't know. But I do know that living like this, stuck in the past, waiting for something to change, isn't sustainable. One way or another, a decision has to be made. And that's the hardest part.